welcome to your new favourite pop culture podcast, The Post Credit Show. I am your host, Loosh, and I've got my fella, my boy, my dude bro, Dino.
Hey, mate.
I thought I'd change it up a bit this week.
No, I love that. I do love that. Thank you.
My dude bro. It's cracking, mate. How's your week been?
Dude, man, been pretty good. I'm enjoying everything pop culture, as you do, as we do every week. And this one's been a good one. This
week in pop culture. This week in Monsters, the Monsterverse. Definitely dominated headlines for us. Very excited to talk about the things that go bump in the night.
Yeah, look, with the Monsterverse stuff, I never thought I'd be an Apple TV subscriber, but they kind of tickled my fancies with this one. I am massive fan of Godzilla in 2014. Massive fan. Like, to me, that's peak cinema. It's fun. It's fun all over. So, yeah, no, very happy with what's going on this week.
It is good shit, let me tell you. My God, did the Monsterverse completely expand in ways that we never thought it ever would. I'm pretty sure that there was, when they announced that the Monsterverse was something that they were working on, and everyone was like, oh yeah, okay, we've seen this before. Is this, they're going to end up with 1 or 2 movies and it's not going to go anywhere, but we're now, 4 movies, an animated series, and now a new TV series in with 3 more movies to come?
Yeah, we've got a few movies to come, which I'm psyched for. I think there's a Godzilla vs. Kong 2 announced at some point there, which I love that movie. I love that movie so much. I like Godzilla. Like, I know this movie didn't really kick it, but that Matthew Broderick Godzilla back way when.
I wanna be a producer with a hit show on Broadway.
I enjoyed it for what it was. Look, I'm very happy to watch it. And I think you said just before, episode dropped today that I haven't even seen.
Yeah, there's a new episode that came out today, which is very exciting. It's always really cool when like a new TV series comes out and they're like, hey, we know that you're interested, so we're going to hook you by dropping 2 at the once.
Well, that's been a good one. They did it with WandaVision for the Marvel as well. And I think that was a very good move, because then you can kind of get into that binge, but like still have to wait for the next episode. Definitely.
All right, well, let's start at the top. Phase 1, apparently, of the Monsterverse. Now, I don't know how many phases there are. We haven't really kind of looked into that too much because we're still kind of marking out with what we have consumed in the past week. But Phase 1 of the Monsterverse, the original Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
Kong, Skull Island. And we've got Godzilla King of the Monsters.
That one was awesome.
Then we've got Godzilla vs. Kong. And then we've got the animated Netflix series, Skull Island, which I binged the shit out of this week.
So only 1 season of that so far?
Only 1 season, 8 episodes. So it's a quick watch, but it's a really good watch. And they introduce a whole bunch of different characters, a whole bunch of different monsters in a really interesting way. So it's very good watch, well worth watching. And then we've got Legacy of Monsters, Monarch Legacy of Monsters, which Apple's released. And the final 3 movies of Phase 1, we've got Godzilla vs. Kong, The New Empire. We've got Rodan. And then we've got Mothra, Queen of the Monsters.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Have we seen Mothra yet? I think we did.
We have seen Mothra, but we haven't really delved into the lore, if you will.
Yeah. Out of all the ones you just mentioned, which one kind of hit it with you? Which kind of like grabbed your attention and said, okay, there's something going on here?
Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah?
Godzilla vs. Kong. Like, I loved Kong Skull Island. I thought that was fantastic. It was such a good movie.
That was fun, and I remember when I was watching it, because there was a lot of characters they introduced early, and they killed them. Like, they killed off almost all of the main characters except for, I think, Tom Hiddleston's character and his female co-lead that he was working with. But yeah, like, that movie was cool. And then one of my favorite parts of that movie, the Step Brothers actor, John C. Reilly.
Yep.
Coming in and playing that part was so funny.
John C. Reilly has this really interesting knack of picking up weird roles and just making them his. Like, I remember when The Vampire's Assistant came out and he played Mr. Crepsley.
That was cool.
I was a big fan of the books, the Darren Shan Chronicles. I thought they were really, really great books. And in my mind, the way Crepsley was discussed and spoken about and described, I'm like, right, that's Bill Nye. That is Bill Nye day and night. Like, there's no question about it. And then when they announced they were doing a movie and that John C. Reilly was cast, I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
It's one of those movies that I've actually forgotten about, but as soon as you mentioned it, I remember seeing it at the cinemas. And yeah, crazy good movie. John C. Reilly's... He plays the same guy, but he has range in that guy, if that makes sense. Kind of like your Ryan Reynolds, how he plays the kind of Ryan Reynolds, but he's just got the same
Ryan
range.
Reynolds,
yeah. No, I like that a lot.
Beautiful. All right, let's delve in. Man, there is a list a mile long of some of these monsters. Like, obviously, we've got Godzilla, we've got King Kong, we've got Mothra. Everyone knows those three. But then there's, like, the Muto, the male and female Muto. We've got the Skull Crawlers, the Skull Devil, Leviathan, Sekhmet. This is crazy. The Kraken.
There's a lot.
The Kraken is in the Monsterverse and is introduced in Skull Island, the animated series. Like, just an incredible feast of monsters. But just in the TV series alone, we've been introduced to some new monsters that we haven't seen in live action before. Which I think is fantastic because, obviously the first thing that people are thinking, it's an Apple series. Apple's not a big television producer. Like, they've dabbled in a few things, Ted Lasso and, stuff like that. But The Morning Wars, which was fantastic, by the way. But they haven't really done, like, CGI sort of stuff, monsters creations. Like, it's a whole thing. You've got studios like Weta Workshop over in New Zealand who literally their whole focus and their whole... process is creating monsters, creating like different types of weaponry and like that whole scene. So there was a bit of doubt in my mind when Apple was announced as the producer of this series, but my God, have they blown me away.
You kind of get the feeling there's a bit of a budget behind this one, and I don't know what it is. I'm sure the nerds out there can get right into that, but it's kind of like Game of Thrones set a precedent for like big budget TV shows telling long like stories that go forever. This is going to be interesting to see it from like a different perspective because the monsters have been like these. This is happening. This is crazy. It's all rush. Everyone's scared, but now there's like a slower story to it. So I'm interested to see how it goes. The first 2 episodes have been great. I binged them last night. They were brilliant. The actor that was out of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that was like the guy, I think
Wyatt Russell.
That's the guy. He was good. He played the young Colonel Shaw, and he was fantastic. Like, I thought he was great throughout the first 2 episodes. What's there to say? What do you think on the show? What do you think?
Look, to be honest with you, I was in suspense the whole time. Like, what I really loved is that they didn't just go ham and show you everything in the first 2 episodes, because like these new TV series that have been created by a studio that's not really ventured into that kind of world before, they want to try and prove that they've got what it takes. So you'll see the big bad and the big like cinematic opening, all that kind of stuff, and we kind of saw a bit of a cinematic opening with the Mantle Claw and all that kind of stuff with John Goodman's character, but you didn't see the whole thing. You didn't like it was just that suspense, that suspension of belief.
Yeah. Plus, what an opening scene, by the way.
Whoa.
And I mean, fucking John Goodman. I know he was a little larger back when he played in Skull Island, but like he looks fit for his age. He was looking good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've been watching The Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah.
He plays the patriarch pastor of the church in the Deep South, and yeah, man. Like just over the last couple of seasons of that, he has just slowly shrunk away into a very fit, very like good on the guy.
Yeah, for me...
I remember him from bloody Fred Flintstone.
I was just about to say, for me, he's always Fred Flintstone. Like, he was the Flintstones.
Him and Rick Moranis.
Yeah, wow.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
That's going back some.
Yeah, jeez.
We're showing our age here, mate.
Pull your pants back up. Counting rings in the wood right here. But yeah, look, what I really do love about this series is the introduction of some of the new monsters. The Endoswarmer, which was those little creatures in the eggs that hatched. The Ion Dragon. What a cool looking creature that was. Like, it straight up looks like a mutant pterodactyl.
Yeah, that's pretty much spot on. I reckon that's pretty much spot on.
Yeah.
Like, did you know what it was going to be when it started clawing?
No, see, I thought it was
Godzilla.
Kong.
I thought it was Godzilla because the claws.
Yeah, sorry. I thought it was Godzilla, not Kong. Why would Kong have claws? It's Lady Kong. Girls, I've got me claws done. Let's go shopping.
Oh, God. Painted nails and everything.
But yeah, look, that was a really cool entrance for a brand new character that we've not seen before. A brand new monster that we've not seen before. It's a really, really cool entrance for that monster. Literally, genuinely terrifying monster, which I thought was great. Especially like that aliens reference while she's walking through the ship and the slime drops down on her shoulder. I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen here? It was just so well done, so well made. I'm so stoked. And then we've got the what's been described as the quadrupedal Alaskan Muto, which is that big thing that had the giant claws that came out of its mouth, which was weird.
Yeah, no,
And then you've got the we don't know. So in that opening scene where the Mantle Claw and the whatever it was that was fighting to try and get to John Goodman's character, we don't know what that creature was yet. It hasn't been designated a name.
Okay.
So
do you think some of the showrunners, do you think they're going to take liberty with some of this? Like, even character designs? Or do you think they're going to stick as close to...
Look, I hope not. I mean, there's a lot of source material. Obviously, you've got the comic books, you've got the animated series, you've got the original movies. You know, like there's a lot of different pieces of... I guess lore behind this story that I'm just... Look, if they take liberties, they take liberties. Who's going to Google it and find out? Like, there's so many... Like, literally, dude, in this Monsterverse, the Bunyip.
I saw something on that. I don't know where I saw it. I think it was in the list of monsters when I was kind of like having a look.
Indigenous Australian cultural monsters integrated into... the Monsterverse.
So do you think they're actually going to like visit different areas of the world and do that kind of stuff?
I don't know, man, but you know what? Just like Marvel, just like DC, there is a rich back history here. You know, you've got ancient gods of Egypt, like Sekhmet, for example, who it's crazy. Like, it's crazy what they've got to work with. Yeah,
man. I got a little lost in the show, to be honest. Like, I was kind of rooting for the characters. Like, I want to friggin' watch more of it as quickly as humanly possible. It sucks that a lot of these shows don't drop everything all at once, and I can't just binge it all. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I just want to know the story and what's going to happen. But, oh, dude, Godzilla, he's my guy.
I tell you what I really enjoyed about the first 2 episodes of Monarch was that it's a Monsterverse story about real life people.
That's
the character development that we've already seen in the first 2 episodes has just been phenomenal.
That's what I liked about Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and also Godzilla vs. Kong. There was rich character development. They had some really good actors in there doing a good job. You're focusing on the human element, but also how they live with these things that they have no control over, no power over.
I think it's one of the most engaging parts of the television show for me as well, because obviously, you know, you care about these characters, and because you care about these characters, you understand the stakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, you know, if you've listened to any of our past couple of episodes talking about DC and Marvel, where, you know, the question has always been, you know, what are the stakes? What are they fighting for? What's the purpose of this story? The Monsterverse in the Monarch entry has really well defined that for us.
Yeah, I like where it's heading so far. I like that we didn't get given too much, because it keeps you wanting more. You had a good conversation with me, unfortunately off the podcast, But you had a good conversation with me the other day. We're talking about why the stakes can't be as high in some of these other universes that have come about, like Marvel and DC. And one of the things you said to me was like, well, it's hard to top certain moments that have happened. And if we don't get those ridiculous moments, or we have monsters that can create those moments out of women, you kind of expect it, the stakes seem to be a little higher. And you don't know, like, and in any moment, these guys can, like, just their characters can die off.
Well, and that's exactly right, and we saw that. We saw that in the first couple of episodes. You see that when you're watching the Skull Island animated series as well. Characters, without any kind of notice, suddenly are just dead. And it's like, okay, great, cool, there's a monster here.
So, like, are they as brutal in the animated series as they were in Kong?
Yes.
Because one of the things in Kong that was different to a lot of the other universe ones is that they did kill off main characters, and they had no fear doing it. And they did it in such a brutal way, like, so quickly. Like, you were rooting for the character because they built a backstory and like a sob story almost, and then suddenly gone.
Yeah, definitely. I tell you what, I tell you what really kind of got me about the opening episode. And I remember vocalizing this to myself when I was watching it, was when the main character, the young girl, arrives in Japan. And she's in a cab and she's driving through Japan. There were two things that really struck me. The first one was the taxi driver talking about San Francisco being fake and being CGI, which was just such a callback to everything that's happened in the last 5 years with the pandemic and with the moon landing even, and like the conspiracy theory nature of these monsters. But the other thing that really struck me was she's driving through the streets of Tokyo, and you've got these amazing beautiful buildings, and you've got the culture, and you've got the amazing, oh my god, there's surface to air missile silos right on the railway tracks. Oh shit, okay.
It would be an incredibly strange world to live in, where you're, like, I mean, not so much in the monster universe, but did you enjoy Pacific Rim?
Yeah.
Very similar in that sense that the world started adapting and, like, creating around the fact that these things exist and they had no control or power.
There are whispers of a Pacific Rim monsters universe.
I would love that so much.
Crossover, yeah. I mean, these monsters have been referred to as kaiju before, so
yes.
Yes, it's not out of the realms of possibility. But yeah, look, fantastic show, definitely worth the watch if you haven't got Apple TV. If you're one of those anti-Apple people who really thinks that Samsung is the way to go, shut up and watch it. Just suck it up. You'll love it, we promise. You might even actually end up singing Apple's praises by the end of it, like Dean was at the start of the episode.
Yeah, look, I was surprised that it ended up on Apple. Maybe they just wanted to make a big play to kind of come in, and I haven't watched much of their other series. I have been told some good ones on there. But yeah, like, and not just the Monsters show, like, it'd be interesting to see where the movies end up as well, because the streaming rights for the movies as they start coming out. I know they've shown up on Netflix and other places, but yeah. I'm a big fan of the movies, and I'd love to get your opinion on some of the movie stuff soon. But, like, what moments in each of the movies kind of stood out to you, whether it be like artistic design of, like, whether it be the CGI or the set or a moment with characters, like, what stood out to you the most in each of those 4 movies?
It's really hard for me to go back and think about each of those 4 movies at this point in time, because I haven't actually rewatched them recently. I want to watch the rest of Monarch before I go back and rewatch everything, like I did with Loki, when watched the whole thing and then went back and watched season 1 and 2, almost like a movie in a movie format. But the one thing that I will say sticks out to me about the universe in general, the cinematic universe in general, is the quality of the presentation of both Kong and Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just right.
When they first met on the boat fight.
Yeah.
Like, that was cool.
That was really cool, with Kong tied down and Godzilla charging the boat, and yeah, that was really cool. But you also really got to see the scale of the monsters as well, because here's this massive boat that's cruising towards San Francisco they were going to, right?
I cannot remember.
Can't remember off the top of my head, but wherever they were going to, cruising towards, maybe it was Japan.
I think it might have been
Tokyo.
Yeah.
And then obviously Godzilla tips the boat over and they get into a bit of a fight and they both stand up in the water. It's like, oh, they big.
Yeah, they real big.
They really, really big. So, yeah, look, for me, definitely the scale and the presentation of the two main monsters, it was just so impressive.
I'd love for them to revolve around Godzilla and Kong a lot. Like, obviously they're trying to expand the universe and bring other characters in, but I'd like Godzilla to remain that presence of, like, when he shows up, shit's about to go down. And the same with Kong too. Like, the ending of Godzilla vs. Kong was incredible, and then the introduction of Mechagodzilla, which was awesome, having, like, the story with evil Godzilla. And we know these movies are, like, they're so fantasy, but at the same time, they're so fun that you draw into them. And I think, like, some of the best CGI and artistic design there is. One of my favourite moments that stood out to me the most out of anything was easily in Godzilla 2014 when they skydived into San Francisco and they had the red smoke and it was just that ominous sound. Like, that was cool. That was very, very cool.
Yeah, that was a really great scene. I remember seeing that in the original trailer, and I'm like, oh, this just feels so much more intense.
It was good. There was stakes.
Look, I'm going to be really honest and say that I'm not too sure how I feel about the Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because I didn't know how they were going to do it, and it's fantasy enough that you can kind of suspend belief. Like, you can suspend belief for a moment to kind of see where they were going with it. I think it was one of the heads of what's the name of the big one? The three-headed.
Oh, King Ghidorah.
Yeah, it was like when they had one of the heads of King Ghidorah, like, and controlling it in some way or kind of affecting it in some way. Yeah, and that was our Pacific Rim moment where we thought we were going to have a big battle, and then it ends up being the big bad.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It feels like there's too much human interference in the idea of a Mecha Godzilla. I'm here for the monsters, not the machines.
I like the fight for what it was, but I see where you're coming from in that sense. Like, you kind of, you want to suspend belief for the monsters and the story and the arc behind that, the Hollow Earth theory, but then the Mechagodzilla, at first I was unsure, but I did enjoy the kind of introduction to the fight scene with him, and then Kong and Godzilla kind of somewhat teaming up for it. That was fun.
I mean, we've had Terminator. We don't need Terminator Godzilla.
Oh, can you imagine if there was Terminator Godzilla, but like the liquid metal one?
Anyway, that's the shit of nightmares right there. Yeah, look, fucking stoked. Can't wait to see where it goes. Can't wait to see what happens next. Godzilla Dominion is supposedly going to have Methuselah in it as well, which is really cool. There's a whole bunch of really cool characters and monsters that we're yet to see and that we're yet to kind of develop into, like Tiamat, just such a rich tapestry of stories to be told. You know, I can genuinely see the Monsterverse being something that rivals Marvel's success.
Yeah. And maybe not to the same level, because you don't have that human element on the characters, and, you know, you don't have Godzilla trying to collect the Infinity Stones for a reason of, like, sharing resources more easily throughout the universe.
Godzilla, but with Thanos' head and the snap.
You're talking about Thing of Nightmares, man. But, yeah, I've got good moments in all of them so far. What do you think?
Tell me about your good moments. Tell me about the things that really stuck out to you in each of those outings so far.
For me, the big one was Hollow Earth in Godzilla vs. Kong. That was cool. That was so cool.
That scene of Godzilla swinging through the Hollow Earth
and then,
in the new...
Yeah, and then the gravity switch.
Yeah.
Oh, that was fun. Godzilla, obviously, the drop down from the plane, the skydiving. In Godzilla also, there was that moment on the train tracks where they're trying to get an analog nuke to, I think it was San Francisco, and it got, like, eaten by one of the Mutos along the way, and then, like, this flaming train came out of the smoke coming straight at them. if it was Godzilla vs. Kong, it would be the boats. It was like when Godzilla was tied down on the boats and had to kind of be let up to do that, and have that big fight scene. And then for Kong Skull Island, I think it was a mixture of like John C. Reilly's character, who I found really fun in that, and like telling the backstory and having like this humorous but like dark way of living. And then the other part of that was the fact that I was so taken aback by the fact they killed off main characters so easily. Like, they'd get us to fall for these characters. They'd get us to pull on our heartstrings, and then suddenly, gone.
What I'm really interested in, I can't wait to see what monster this is. Have you seen the teaser video from the announcement of Godzilla x Kong, the New Empire?
I haven't, no.
There's, it's kind of like a title reveal sort of thing with a really very, very brief teaser. And there was a scene of what looked like a giant, not quite Godzilla, not quite Kong, but a bit Kong-ish creature sitting in the hollow earth in a throne room on a throne made out of bones.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued as to what's going to happen there. And to be honest with you, that's where I'm engaged. That's where I'm like, fuck, show me more about this beast.
I want to see more lore of the Hollow Earth. Like, I want to see if, I don't know if there's people down there.
And not the kind that includes Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
No. He's a big fella. He could fight Godzilla. But yeah, I want to see more of Hollow Earth. I want to see more of that. That was a really good exploration down there. I don't know. What do you want from the human characters going forwards? What do you see to kind of from that? Because we got some good ones, like Aaron Taylor-Johnson in Godzilla, and we got a few great actors in Godzilla King of Monsters. We got Tom Hiddleston in Kong. Yeah.
Look, I think we're in a really unique situation with this universe. I think people want it to be successful so much that I don't think you really need to cast too many big names in it.
I think going for what Marvel did originally, which is cast the best actors.
Yep.
Not the big names, not the draw cards, because the draw cards are that you got to understand more like what kind of people are showing up to these. I took a mate to Godzilla vs. Kong, and he hated me for buying him a ticket. He was like, this is, I'm not watching this trash, this is rubbish. He walked out of the movie and he turned to me and goes, okay, that was kind of fun. So it's moments like that. You got to go in and just kind of go, okay, this is what this is. Look,
obviously Godzilla and King Kong have been probably, I don't think it's a stretch to say, one of the most repeated offenders in the cinema for nearly a century.
Yeah.
There are movies from as early as the 1920s of Godzilla and Kong. I remember when I was growing up, there was not quite a black and white movie. I can't remember what it was called. It was a really old movie when I was younger, but I remember it had Kong. It had King Kong. It might have even actually been the 1960s King Kong movie. And I remember the moment where he picks up a human and just chucks it in his mouth, and you just hear the crunch of the human's bones. And it was like, oh. As a kid, that fucking terrified the shit out of me.
Scary.
Yeah, like it was a genuine horror movie. I like the fact that they're kind of leaning into that a little bit, but that's not the focus. It's not a story that's created to gross you out and to make you feel horrified. It's a story to engage you. It's a story to take you on an adventure and to show you, like I keep saying, this rich tapestry of folklore in all of these monsters. Like the dodo bird, for example, makes an appearance in the Kong Island animated series and is part of the lore. You know, it's crazy. Hawk monster, the croc monster, the grass hedgehog, the aloe turtle.
Oh yeah. And what was that? The giant bull that came out of the water in Kong. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. That we mentioned that Methuselah.
Oh, that's Methuselah.
That's Methuselah.
Yeah, that was a cool moment because it's like this area in the middle of nowhere protected by this storm, and then it's like this craziness everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I think Peter Jackson's Kong kind of explored like those crazy amount of big, massive creatures all over Skull Island. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed the modern one that's come out, Skull Island. And there's so much to talk about. And I know that when we get talking about Marvel, we've got so much to draw from. So much. But I think it's natural excitement that kind of sits us here now, is that we're so keen to see what actually comes of it. And we haven't had that much, but what we have had has been exciting. And we know a lot about Marvel. We've seen a lot of Marvel. We know a lot about DC. We've seen a lot. There's a lot of comic books we read as younger. But now we're getting a new kind of universe that we're happy to explore, and with the technology to show great cinematic movies.
And I think that's the thing for us at the moment. This is a new universe that we're only really just finding at the moment. So we're kind of starting the process of exploring it ourselves. I'm not speaking on behalf of yourself, but I'm really excited to really delve deep into this universe and see what's to come. I think Marvel. Fuck, we've spoken so much about Marvel. I keep going back to it. I think Legendary Pictures is on a winner here. It's definitely more of a winner than the Dark universe that was kind of started and then kind of disappeared and is in limbo, but they're still releasing pictures for it.
They did a decent job with The Mummy in some sense, with casting Russell Crowe, Dr. Jekyll and Hyde. They did Tom Cruise and his character and what he became at the end.
I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or even a controversial opinion, but fuck me, I can't stand Tom Cruise.
Really?
Can't stand him.
There's certain movies I can, like Mission Impossible is a good one, because he tries his own stunts, he does a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's more of a spectacle of what is being achieved on screen. But I don't mind. And look, he went real hard in Maverick in Top Gun, and that was a good movie.
I mean, the Dark Universe, for example. We're talking about things that go bump in the night. The Dark Universe is supposedly like Dracula Untold in 2014. You've got The Mummy in 2017 with Tom Cruise. The Invisible Man, which I actually really liked. Yeah, I really liked that. Renfield, haven't seen it.
Renfield looks fun. Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give that a watch.
Yeah.
But The Last Voyage of the Demeter is now out on.
Is it at the cinema or is it somewhere else?
No, I think it's about to drop in streaming. I think it's about to drop in the streaming services. Pretty keen to see what that's all about.
You'll have to tell me about it.
Yeah, because you're not very much into the horror things, are you?
No, mate, I can't. I get nightmares. I can't watch that stuff. But I'll let you tell me all about it.
But then you've got The Invisible Woman, The Wolfman, and Van Helsing, which, look, I mean, they're great characters. I don't know. We've had Van Helsing movies before. They're a little bit camp. They're a little bit meh.
Yeah, I think Hugh Jackman played Van Helsing last in a standalone one.
And,
I mean, it wasn't bad.
It wasn't good.
No, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It's like all these kind of movies. You know what you're getting. You kind of go in for some fun, and as long as the story is coherent, it's not terrible.
But look, there's apparently a whole bunch of films in development still for the Dark Universe, and I'm not sure where they go with some of these. Bride of Frankenstein, Dark Army, no idea what that's going to be about. Monster Mash, that just sounds like the Monsters.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's where my head went to.
Frankenstein, Little Monsters, real monsters. Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh, okay.
That'll be an interesting remake. Another Dracula movie. Then a Phantom of the Opera movie, which I'm intrigued by because I've seen the Phantom of the Opera musical. Absolutely love it. The movie was fantastic. Very rare to see a musical turned into a movie and for it to be a really good rendition of the musical, but that was almost perfect.
And then if it stays musical or not, that's going to be a different one.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
But I don't know how that fits into the Dark Universe though. That just feels like, oh well, let's take this musical and. I mean, I know Phantom of the Opera wasn't a musical. Andrew Lloyd Webber turned it into a musical and wrote the whole thing. But I don't know. And then Hunchback of Notre Dame, Invisible Man 2, and The Scorpion King.
Ooh. Did you like The Scorpion King?
Oh my god, no.
Really?
No.
My dad and I loved that movie.
It hasn't aged very well, and this is the thing about CGI.
Oh,
this is the thing about CGI. is that in those days we were in the early development of CGI, and it was very, very, very crude.
Yeah.
And now going back and watching it, it is completely unwatchable.
I think I know the scene you're talking about. That one's actually Mummy 2, when they did the Rock CGI where he had the scorpion body. That was friggin' weird. It's a meme now.
It's so bad.
It's a meme.
But yeah, look, there's so much to like about what's coming out at the moment, and this is why, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this episode is because, quite frankly, we've spoken a lot about Marvel lately.
Yeah, and there's a lot to speak about, so it's very easy for us to fall into that category. But trying something new.
We wanted to prove to our listeners that we're not just here for Marvel. It's not the Marvel post-credit show.
Well, I'm here for movies. I'm here for comics. I'm here for anything pop culture that kind of tickles my fancy. And there's something tickly about giant beasts fighting.
There's something tickly. Fucking hell. Something tickly. Okay. Yeah, cool. That's pretty much what I wanted to cover. I had a thought though.
Yeah.
We should talk about DC next week.
I would be keen to explore that. There's a lot coming out. I would like to pay homage to the ones that we did get and that universe that Zack Snyder started to create. And I'm a massive fan of Zack Snyder. Dude, Watchmen. Oh.
Best comic book movie ever made.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Yep.
I don't think there's another comic book movie that has the same level of...
Have you read Dave Gibbons?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's pretty close.
Ooh. It is almost exactly what we were talking about with Phantom of the Opera. It's almost a complete page-to-page translation.
Yeah. It's panel by panel.
That is fucking insane. You know that moment in The Last of Us where the two characters in the car, house burning, like that whole recreation of the game? It is literally that, but from comic book to movie.
Yeah, I think we pay a little bit of homage to Watchmen when we start off next week.
Love it.
Cool, man. No, it was good catching up. I love talking about this kind of stuff, and we'll do some research through the week and see how it goes.
Gojira. Thanks, bro. Speak next week. See you later, everybody. Have a great week.
See you, mate. Cheers for the chat.
Deuces. Hey, Dino.
Yeah, bud.
So my other half asked me why we don't go out for dinner like we used to before we moved in with each other.
Oh, yeah?
So I took him out for dinner and dropped him back off at his parents' house on the way home.
Disgusting. Despicable. Good night!